Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Overs and Unders podcast. We got a very special guest in here today, one of our OG members, JT. He's going to share his story of how he balances swimming as a high performance athlete, as well as beating the bookies each and every week. Well, we're very keen for this episode and looking forward to hear his story, his perspective on match betting, and how you can make consistent profits each and every week on the punt.
Alrighty, let's get started. So, JT, do you want to run us through what were your gambling habits before you started match betting?
My gambling habits were pretty non-existent. I'd say I grew up in a reasonably traditional, conservative household, and it was don't bet, it's degeneracy, and there's no money to be made or anything like that. So until I came across you guys and wanted to make some money, it was pretty non-existent. I love to have a tip on the footy, but that was about all I was allowed to do. So, yeah.
And was this when you first turned 18, or did you kind of do those like odd tips here and there like after 18, or when did you kind of like just start?
It was, I wouldn't have placed my first bet outside of probably mum or dad doing it on the Melbourne Cup or Origin or something until September or October last year. So it's been a pretty new thing for me. Wow. Like my numbers and stuff like that, but actually physically placing my first bet would have been probably early October last year.
Yeah, wow. And that's pretty good because I think the general consensus with most guys turning 18 is because you see those Sportsbet ads every time you're watching the game. Yeah. And it's a great marketing ploy by them because you see them all the time. You'll like, say you're 15, 16, my brother's 15. And when he watches the games with us, it's like he sees those ads all the time. And for the average person, it's like, if you keep seeing them and you keep seeing them, by the time you're 18, you're like, oh, fuck it. I'll give it a crack. I'll give it a go. Yeah. And then that's how they get you. So it's good to hear that you weren't really onto it like straight away at 18. You kind of just like didn't really think too much of it. And then you kind of hit.
Every time I'd see one of those ads or you see Joel Kane get up on the Sportsbet stuff before the footy, you go, yeah, are the Rabbits really a 180 favourite in this game kind of thing? So it was always like, being a bit of a bloke, you go, are the bookies really that smart?
Yeah, and exactly.
Unfortunately, a lot of the time they are, but they also do some things that offer some windows in, and that's where you guys came into play. So, yeah.
So how did you end up finding out about us or hearing about Playmakers Elite?
It was probably a month or two, or a couple months after you guys started. You'd started showing some decent results. I had a friend or two that had been involved with you guys from the actual beginning. And they went, give it a shot, and I went, well, if I'm just putting my own money in, I can choose how much I put in, at least start low, and we can grow pretty quickly, and it did. And that was it. So it was a bit of word of mouth, bit of Instagram, so nothing. I'm not sponsored.
Yeah, he's not a paid actor.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was how I heard about you guys.
Yeah, and that's good. And how long did it really take you to understand sort of the educational stuff of match betting or some of the actual concepts like turning over a bonus bet or learning how to back and lay on Betfair?
I will have to admit I probably donated a couple $100 to Sportsbet and Betfair on my first few mugs because I was being a proper muppet. But you make the first couple of mistakes, and when it's real money, even if it's $5-10, you go, okay, don't really want to start a charity to Sportsbet very easily. So you learn the back and lay pretty quickly. The bonus turnover, not necessarily the mechanics of it, but it was just spotting a good one, like knowing what kind of window of odds between that like 4 to 9-ish for me. Like if you have a bit more money to play with, you might be somewhere different in that window. And then certain times of the week present probably better opportunities for that sort of thing. So you kind of get the nuances reasonably quickly.
Yeah, nice. And did you have like a starting unit size that you started betting?
Yeah, I think it was like $5 or $10. I think it was very small because being conservative, I go, okay, well, let's not chuck 100 on the $2 favourite very quickly. So yeah, $5-10 was all I started with. I mean, that did grow probably within a fortnight to 20, and then I think we started on a bit of a rough streak. I think I lost $5 over 2 weeks. And then it moved quickly to, let's chuck 50 on one. And once that happened, you kind of just set yourself between, or for me, it was 35 to 50, so it's not. So everything kind of works out in the end.
Yeah, and did it take you long to sort of trust us or trust the process?
To be honest, yes. I mean, that was a bit of just coincidence in this. You guys had absolutely come out of the gate firing, and that's not that you did anything different to when you're not absolutely firing. It's just the law of averages. You go up a bit quicker sometimes, you hold steady other times. So the NBA was being, let's say, not helpful for about 10 days. But I went, okay, I'm not losing money quickly or at all for most of it. And then I think we hit one day where it was like, okay, now we're on. Yeah. And then we're on from there. So I think it was pretty steady on my pool of money for about 10 days, 2 weeks. Then we hit a day and it was up like 30% a day. I was like,
and that's the biggest thing as well. I think that was around December where all the like players are just missing out on their targets and head-to-heads and handicap lines were just there was just so much variance going on during that period, and it was tough. But it kind of goes to show that we lost a little bit there, but here and there, but one big day basically like can change everything.
Yeah,
and like from that graph that we track, that graph will kind of have like that flattish kind of line where nothing's really happening. Might go down like a little bit, but not much. But then that one day kind of changes everything, and then you're back.
Yeah, I mean, my personal tracking of it, I think this is a bit more of a coincidence. I don't think I've had a losing month yet. I've had one where I was literally to the cent exactly the same. But it's, those weird periods in December with the NBA coming off the start of the season, everyone was starting to load manage ever so slightly, just kind of get through it until the All-Star break. And then recently with the NRL, Origin kind of throws everything, and somehow that affected the AFL. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, that was...
But yeah, before that, after that, we've been fine. I think as the run into the finals comes in, everyone will be actually looking to play. Your star players will be back. You'll start getting less variance in games. You won't get as many upsets because the Broncos will actually remember how to play footy, which is good. That was, my start went up pretty quickly, but it didn't come without its hitches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And all right, let's kind of get into your sort of setup every week. And we kind of touched on at the start that you're a high performance swimmer. You were trialing out for Paris. Unfortunately, you didn't make it, but hey, like to get to that level is insane. How have you been able to balance swimming on top of, uni? Because I think you're still doing part-time, or you're close to...
2 weeks ago, thank you.
Same as me.
Is done.
How good.
Thank God.
So how are you able to sort of manage, uni that last semester, manage swimming, and also manage match betting?
So for me, I don't have a massive bankroll. I don't have extensive reach outside of my 3 main accounts, so I keep it pretty simple, or have kept it pretty simple. It's just been a bit of rinse and repeat, 5-10 minutes every day to make sure I chuck on at least 1 or 2 mugs, maybe every now and then, and then make sure the bonuses get turned over. That's probably time-wise, or just remembering to do it, is probably the thing I need to keep on top of the most, because 7 days and it's gone, and it's could have at least got back 60-70% of it compared to none. I am in a little bit of a fortunate position. Swimming doesn't take up a massive time. It's just mostly a remembering thing rather than a time thing. This doesn't take up a massive amount of time. You can put a lot more time into it than me, still be just as efficient and make even more money. But you don't have to put in a lot to get out what I've got out, which is, for me, been exactly what I've been looking for. So
yeah, that's good to hear. And what does like a typical weekend look like for you? Like when we set out tips, and like what's your sort of schedule on a weekend?
So let's hope work's not watching this, but most of the time I'm at work when the tips come out, so I slightly take 5-10 minutes to quickly chuck them on.
Just go to the bathroom, little bathroom break. Yeah.
Oh, sorry guys, curry last night, my bad. So yeah, it's normally a quick 5-10 minutes, because I try to set it up so I place the actual bets we want to put on every Thursday through Sunday. I'm trying to do that within 5-10 minutes. I hopefully have my other side of it, my mug bets on the start of the day, or even just throughout the week. I've hopefully banked up enough that I can just roll through it at least for that day, maybe catch up the next day. So when you send them out, it's pretty quick, just on bang. If I see like the Swans are paying $1.09, and I happen to be looking at Betfair and they're $1.10. Sick, easy. But it's a quick and easy thing for me. Now that uni's done, might expand that reach a little bit, but it's worked very well so far for me, that setup.
And awesome. And with that routine, and you've pretty much been, not from the very start, but I'd say like the first month or after that first month you hopped on.
Yeah.
How much money or how much profit do you reckon you've made all up at Playmakers Elite?
Counting everything, pretty close to 10.
Wow.
I haven't been as astute getting all my spreadsheets done probably in the last 6 weeks, but up until then, and just doing some quick mental math, it'd have to be pretty close to 10 right now.
Yeah, that's insane.
And what would you say like the hardest part of like match betting is?
Betting to the biggest lesson I've learned, this probably tie into one of the other questions later, but the biggest lesson and the hardest thing is just remembering that you're betting to a system. Like you might see someone has a try scorer market and you go, oof, 250 for that looks really good. But just remembering that it's not, in my head, I'm almost not treating it like betting. I'm treating it as just, it's a system. If I stick to the system, I'm never going to make $1 billion off this, but it's not what I have it for. There may be people who make $1 billion off it, and fair play to them. But as long as you remember to bet to the system, there are going to be days where you go, are you serious, Ashley Klein?
Yes.
But the system comes out. The maths behind the system works, and maths doesn't lie as long as the maths are right, and it is. So yeah,
those try scorers can be like pretty deceiving though. Like one bookie might have it priced like $3.50 and all the rest like $2.80, but that doesn't mean it's like positive EV, you know? Like
no,
exactly. But do you see like some similarities between like match betting and like investing and stuff?
Yeah, I haven't done, mostly just because I'm not fortunate to have $1 million to go invest in the stock market with, but talking to people in the finance world, trying to start a career, they go, well, what lessons have you learned in life that you can apply to a possible investment scenario? And I went, well, read past what I'm about to say initially, but sports betting to a system or sports betting within a scope of a system teaches you a lot. The similarities between betting to the system, understanding that a bad day is going to come, and a triple loss on the trot, even a full triple loss on the trot, isn't going to ruin you. It's not even what you'd make on a decent day. So, like, when I say I haven't had a down month, there have definitely been down days, and I think there's been 3 or 4 down weeks, and that sucks because you got to wait till Thursday before the boys get on the field again. But it's just understanding that you're not putting emotion into it, take emotion out of it. You end up, for me, I've kind of learned a few nuances. Like I'm adding weather into my personal analysis a bit more with the totals and stuff like that, just as a personal thing. But it's no emotion makes it a lot easier in the long run.
And how do you regulate your emotions, would you say? Do you like to sometimes not watch the games at all?
No. I like to watch the games just because I'm a fan. That was part of the reason I wanted to be part of this. It was, okay, make money and do what I'm doing already. Sick. Yeah. So I didn't want to not watch the games to try and teach myself some emotion stuff. It was just more, if I'm out and about, not having to pull my phone out to throw KO up and stuff like that, just enjoying life. And if you have to be at home, and if you happen to be at home and the Bulldogs and Tigers are on, sick, go watch it. But unless it's like a Bronx game or a game that I would have watched otherwise, just learning to go, okay, it's going to be what it's going to be anyway, and just be happy to watch the games other than that. So
yeah, and exactly. And adding on to what you said about, you're going to have those down days and you're going to have those big days as well. And it's all about just knowing that and trusting the maths that it's going to pay off over time.
Yeah.
Even on those down days and you don't have that weekend where you turn a profit, which there's only been 3 or 4 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
You've got to also put yourself in the shoes of the average punter that probably loses like a couple hundred a week or on the weekend, just going to the races, going to the pokies, putting a few bets on the AFL, the NRL. So the fact that, like you say, oh yeah, we didn't really have like we had a pretty rough week, but we only lost like $5, $10. That kind of goes to show that it's all about sticking to that system, trusting the mats, and just being there long term. And kind of like, it is hard naturally when you're watching a game because you are cheering on that bet. But then you just kind of, after the game, you kind of just know that, like it's one game, like on to the next. And then eventually, like you're just going to have those big days. And those big days far outweigh the smaller days.
Yeah, to be honest, emotionally, they kind of affect you the same amount. Like a big day will affect me at least just as much as one full loss on a day, whereas it's nowhere near mathematically or financially the same thing. You go, God damn it, like to drop balls and stuff like that just kill you watching a game. But if you can have them affect you the same amount, but if you're making more each time, you feel good, and you feel good and bad about 50%, that just works.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you're watching the Titans.
There's a few people on the ban list. The Titans are pretty close. So.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a Playmakers Elite blacklist going on, and I think the Titans, the whole team, usually it's mainly for one person, but because the Titans have been
hold the line.
They can't hold a line.
Because the Titans, because they're so bad, where every time you back them, like, I think you have to put that whole team into the Playmakers Elite blacklist. That Sam and I, we were talking the other day, it's like, do we even, like, place a bet on the Titans? Because every time you back them, or you back another team, the Titans will somehow pull something out of their arse and win. Or if you back the other team and you hope the Titans to cover the line, they just completely just wreck it for us. So.
Yeah, I remember watching, or not even watching, I was out and the Titans-Warriors game started and I went, okay, seems like a pretty solid bet. I think it was...
The Anzac Day game?
Yeah, the one where the Titans put 60 on the Warriors.
Oh, no, that game,
And I don't know if it was over at the Gold Coast or over in New Zealand, but it was... I switched it on, the Titans scored first, I was like, sick. Great for totals. 40 minutes later, what's the actual fuck?
Yeah.
That and Klay Thompson, that's about all on my ban list.
Yeah.
Not to get too off track, but that's a bit of insight into Playmakers Elite. So
So do you wish you started like match betting earlier? Like knowing what you do now, do you wish you knew that like when you first came out of school and started uni?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to get into sports betting just chucking $10 here and there, sitting around that -5 to -10% consistently. So if I'd found this earlier, 100% sweet, go for it. Retrospect is 2020. But the fact that you can come into this, and if you really wanted to, you could do $2.50 and $5 bets to start with. It's not risking a lot. You're not risking a week's wage just on a throwaway. And yeah, if I was to tell an 18-year-old now, it would be, if you like footy, if you like sport, it's a bit of a no-brainer. It's not going to lose you money in the long run as long as you stay consistent with it. As long as you stay within the system, if you can chuck a $10 punt on, you can combine some of the odd stuff that we do, and you'll still probably break even, if not make some money, like our bonus bets. I think, not that we track it, but are tracking still at 120% even.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So there's opportunity to have fun on the side, but as long as that's the side, not the main focus of how you're actually looking to make money, because at the end of the day, we're looking to make money, or I'm looking to make money on this, and I'm sure you guys are too. So as long as you understand that's the goal, you can stick pretty far within that and still have a lot of fun. So
yeah. And so what is your family, or like, have you told your mates like sort of what you do, and do they sort of believe you, or?
I am consistently trying to convince my brother to get on it, but he likes a $50 throwaway punt a bit too much. So he keeps trying to tell me to do it for him. I'm like, no, just do it yourself, you lazy git. I keep trying to push as many people into it because I don't see a downside to it. Yes, you can. There is obviously a downside. You could emotionally get invested into the wrong side, start throwing money, especially if you have a bad day, it turns into a bad week, a bad month, and then that's a whole road you don't want to go anywhere near. But if I think a person has enough mental fortitude that they can stick within a system and understand what the goal is, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. And so JT, you've obviously made a fair bit of coin through Playmakers Elite. And I think we kind of like touched on this and kind of just building on to what you've just said. Like, what's sort of your advice to kind of like the average sort of person that gets on the punt every week? You know, chucks a bit in the pokies, chucks a bit into the races, maybe loses a couple hundred, and you know they've probably come across a few tipping pages on their Instagram and kind of people selling them like all these like premium tips and all that. What sort of advice would you kind of say to them? And I think you've kind of touched on those points during this sort of episode. What would you sort of say to them?
So from my experience and having actually, I wouldn't call it fallen victim to, but I wanted to at least be a bit curious and try out some of those premium tips offerings. And I, to be honest, went in and they had, I can't imagine they've had a worse week than the one that I entered in. I think I put on $500-600 and would have been out the back door pretty close to all of that.
Wow.
So, I mean, I went in, I tried it. I went, okay, if this works, it works. Because, I mean, if I can make money and supplement the Playmakers Elite stuff that we do by making money, just double your income streams, it's just too much of an up and down for me for what I want. Especially someone who probably gets a little bit too much emotional and tries to take it out of it. It's a bit hard to not get emotionally invested when it's 100 and you win 100 or it's out the back door. So I would say as long as you can verify the results of a service, great. Maybe that actually could be an avenue to go down. I haven't seen one that does. You guys had a spreadsheet from the beginning, which was part of the reason I was pretty happy to go for it. Because if you can verify results and actually track them and show that, okay, not every week's $1,000, not every week's minus 1,000. So my advice would be just verify places before you start them. People will mean well and they also want to make a buck on the end of it too. So just be aware of that. And my other advice, like I touched on before, would be just understand that betting has a dark side like everything. So as long as you understand where that dark side is and maybe you can venture in every now and then. Like I remember I did have a bonus bet that I chucked on randomly for 4 try scorers over a weekend and it hit sick.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Tried it the next 3 weeks and lost the same amount, so back to zero. So I mean, I was even, but those personal fun punts on the side are pretty much where they should stay unless you have some mathematical edge. And there are people out there that have that, but if you have an edge, you would be making more money doing that and you'd be having to spend 24 hours a day doing it. So it's offerings for everyone.
And was that sort of like system you were following, was it non-promo bets?
Yes, yeah. So I had promo bets associated with you guys and that system makes a lot of sense. The variance keeps itself within a reasonably tight window or tight enough for my liking. When it's all or nothing on a bet, you can have monster weekends, you can have monster days, you can also be crying yourself to sleep at night and eating ramen for the next week. And nothing wrong with ramen, but everyone likes a steak. So it's the variance that I didn't like in those other systems. And the 2 or 3 that I looked into, none of them could mathematically verify that they had an edge at all. So I went, okay, I'll give it a go on a whim. Obviously didn't work because I'm not doing it anymore. And that's kind of where I've ended up back just 100% with you guys. So.
And yeah, I think the biggest thing for us, like Sam and I, when we started, because at the end of the day, like we were uni students. Yeah. I've just graduated. Sam's graduating end of the year. Like we genuinely do this for fun and we don't let this consume our life. Like this to us, we enjoy doing it and we just want to help out as many people as possible because like you said, and I'm the same and Sam's the same as well, we all wish that as soon as we turned 18, we got onto this straight away. And imagine if you started at 18, you're 21, 22, think about how much money you probably would have put aside and made because most of that money is sitting into your betting accounts. Yeah. You treat it as savings and you let that money sort of grow at a 20-22% ROI, which is insane.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going to Europe at the end of the year without this. So
yeah, exactly.
It's nice.
Yeah. Exactly. And we're fortunate. We've got a few guys in our community now, like turned 18. They're still in school and they're always just asking questions. Like they want to just get better and learn more. And that's ideally what we want. And for us, again, it's just building that community, getting as much people as possible to realize that you can actually make money on the punt if you stick to just a system. You stay within that system. You kind of just put emotion to the side, and you can still enjoy, like, place your own personal bets as long as, you know, you understand your bankroll. You can still have fun. You don't let it consume your life. If the footy's on the weekend and you've got time, just, you know, put the feet up, watch the game, get on the Discord chat a bit of shit. Obviously celebrate when we get up. And that's part of the fun. It shouldn't consume your life. It's there for fun. It's there as a side hustle. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to promote and trying to just get as many people as possible into our community. And yeah, that's the biggest thing that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if people think that no one makes money on sports betting or only full degenerates make money sports betting, it's like, well, 90, I don't know what the actual stat is. Everyone throws out a number, but I guarantee more than 90% of people that invest in the stock market end up losing money. So does that mean the only people that can make money on the stock market are degenerates too? Like, I mean,
yeah.
I would argue yes, but there's no promo bets on a Microsoft stock. So, and it's not nearly as fun to watch Bill Gates make a speech. So, yeah,
it's fun to watch Joe Biden though. We'll say that.
Fun. It's interesting. It's good TV for CNN, but yeah. So you don't have to be doing this 24/7. You don't have to be a degenerate. You don't have to be a math whiz. I mean, I like my maths, but I can tell you I know some people in the Discord and they don't like maths, so you don't have to be a maths whiz to do this. It's very simple maths at the end of the day. It just takes a little bit of courage to take a step in and get your feet wet, and you can do that as small or as big as you'd like, and then I can almost guarantee you'll find that if you stick at it 3-4 weeks, you'll find it ends up upticking eventually, and you can just keep it ticking away in the background. So who doesn't want a 5-10 grand pay rise?
Exactly.
For a weekend.
And I think what we're also trying to sort of get the newer people to start doing is those deposit matches. They're just so OP when you first start. You show them it's literally like free money, as you said. And it kind of like, and I think you touched on this in our last episode, that it kind of like forces you to adapt and understand the concepts of backing something and then laying it on the other side, either on another bookie or Betfair. It forces you to understand those concepts. And again, it's just like risk-free money. You can turn that $100 bonus bet into $70 risk-free. Yeah. There's like so many bookies now out there offering those offers, and you sign up to a bunch of them. You get those deposit matches. You can easily make probably $1,000 or so.
Oh, minimum. Yeah, on just the corporate bookies, we're going through that at the moment just to like test it as of, what is it, July 2024, seeing how much money you can make off those deposit matches. But I've got a question for you, actually. Yeah. So with Sportsbet, obviously it's like the undisputed, like the top bookie, what everyone uses, right? Like everyone.
Yeah, it'd have to be the most well-known tab, probably second, but yeah, Sportsbet up there.
Why do you think they're at the top of the game?
I think they have been they were the early ones into the online market, and I think early into it helps. Like you look at any other industry, the first company to make it early into that big disruption phase, be that the internet or whatever, makes a big difference. But I think they don't offer the best odds, or at least not most of the time. So it's not that. I think their marketing strategy is just picking on. Well, yeah, it is picking on those who are just willing to chuck money. Yeah. The Sportsbet charity is alive and well. So they market themselves like people who don't know how to use promos or use them and put it on like an 18-leg multi or something like that when you only needed to put 4 legs on to get the free hit, but they want to put 18 on because $1,000 as potential winnings looks better than 50. I think they're marketing to the right crowd, and then you also get us who probably make up the other side of a lot of those bets, which help them arbitrage themselves. So I think their marketing strategy is hitting the right demographic, and also they're keeping around us who not necessarily make the money, but I'd say solidify the bets on the other side that aren't made by people who don't know what they're doing. I won't call them idiots, they just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And do you think, like, hypothetically, if Sportsbet, they've got, like, such a big market share, do you think if they just, like, cut, like, advertising and marketing tomorrow, do you think they'd still be, like, just as powerful?
I think a lot of at least from the people I talk to, a lot of the people who just chuck money on goes, there's a bonus bet, there's a free hit. Like, 90% of the time they don't hit it because they're putting it on stupid things. But I think a lot of people might not use it for 3 weeks, come back and chuck it. And I know that's not where Sportsbet gets most of their money from. It's just their market share of people going, okay, I'll chuck it $50 on my Sportsbet account because they don't have a Ladbrokes account. They don't have a Tab account. They don't even know that Better is a thing. Picklebet just sounds like a weird gamer tag to them and stuff like that. So they are pulling in, they keep those who are across all platforms, and then they're taking almost everyone who does it for fun, but really it's just donating. So yeah.
I think you put that really well.
Yeah.
No. What sort of like, where would you direct anyone? Like, what would you tell someone who wanted to learn more about match betting? Would you just tell them, just like go, like, not about us at all, but like, what would you tell them to search up?
I would say if you like maths, learn the maths behind arbitrage. Even in the stock market, it's the same thing. And understand that if you want to learn the maths behind it, or you can literally just search up how to make money on promo bets, and it's pretty hard to go wrong. As long as you include the promo bet stuff, you'll end up in the right area eventually, or pretty quickly, I reckon, based on my experience. So just knowing that as long as you're sticking around the promo stuff, you should be fine in the beginning, because it's actually pretty hard to lose a lot of money very quickly with promos. It's when you start going, I can create an edge because I know the NFL better than anyone, even though I don't live in America. I don't know how to throw a ball, and I don't know what an in route is. Stuff like that is where you start running into trouble. So stick to what you know in the beginning. You can always venture out very quickly if you do actually end up being a God-given genius at picking stuff. So search up how to make money off promo betting, and hard to go wrong, I reckon.
And I think to add on to that, like Sam and I, like we've said this multiple times, like at the end of the day, the bookies have the best models, the best people behind like setting up the prices, knowing how to set those prices, why they're setting those odds. They have the best models, and it is very hard to kind of just say, yeah, I know the NFL, I'm going to bet on this because he's hit it in 4 out of the past 5 games. Obviously, the bookies probably know something that we don't, and they have all the models, they have all the infrastructure to basically give themselves an edge. And the only people that are making, or have a genuine edge over the bookies are like those with like, obviously, if you've got if you got an EV sort of software, or you've got some sort of advanced model, and you've probably worked at a bookmaker before.
Yeah,
those are the guys that actually have an actual edge in terms of pricing. And then again, if you kind of abuse that edge, the bookies aren't dumb. They'll just pick up on you, and they'll weed out all the guys that just snipe the best odds or the best prices on any particular market. And that's why sticking with the promos and kind of not disguising, but getting onto the promos like every other average punter would. Yeah. That is the best way to make money, especially if you're using like same game multis, because that's how most of the bookies get you. And I think the best marketing that Sportsbet does, and it's very small, but what I've noticed is, say for example, you put in like your stake of $10 and it's like a 20 leg multi, your like expected returns is like greened out, it's in bold, it's massive, and it's the first thing you see.
Yeah.
And just as any human being, you see that big price tag,
you go guaranteed.
Yeah, like bang. What could I do with this money? And that's how they get you.
It's the green ticks. The green ticks
as well. It's all those little
same game multi trackers as well. That was a genius invention from them. Seeing the disposals bar go up.
I think they might have like introduced same game multis. I'm too young to know, but I think Sportsbet were the first in Australia. I might be completely wrong, but I think they introduced same game multis.
They've
like
been on
very
top
early.
of the ball with most of the introductions to everything. Same game multis, your same game multi trackers and stuff like that. But to your point about the bookies have the best models, I was talking to someone at the QAS yesterday who used to consult with Tab, who did biomechanical analysis on horses and stride counts so they could get the best odds on the horse for the next week and stuff like that. So unless you've got something that can beat that, all power to you. So I don't see anyone else counting stride length or stride rate for a horse week in, week out. So good luck if you can beat that.
Yeah.
There are a few, but not many.
Yeah.
and every pro punter, like you see them on Twitter, they're always like sharing screenshots of stuff of some bookmaker like banning them after like 3 bets and stuff. Like these bookies are real scummy. Like I don't feel guilty profiting off them because they're ruining so many lives at the end of the day. I think this week there's some sort of like, or is it next week? There's some sort of betting awareness. I don't know.
I think it's this week.
Is it this week? Yeah, there's something to do with like betting awareness and stuff. And surprisingly, Tab have got that up on their like homepage when I logged in the other day. So
thanks, mate.
Yeah,
Please.
appreciate it. Yeah. No. But did you have any questions for us at all?
It was more how did you guys come across it? I know I've talked to you a bit, Rick, about you used to kind of just get on the punt for fun as a lot of 18-year-olds do. I luckily didn't, but was it you had a really bad week and went, there's got to be a better way to this, or you a bit of happenstance, you found your way into the profitable world?
I think I've kind of explained it a few times, but like I said, I was never like a gambling addict, or I never had any problems. I just like chucking $5 on like something that would probably never hit. I was one of those guys, and then I know I went out a fair bit when I was like 19, 20, and I'd go to the pokies. A few of my mates would love to chuck like 50, and then they'd lose that 50, chuck another 50, and then you kind of see that, or you see them hit the green
for the feature.
Yeah, you see them hit the green jackpot, and then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna try.
Net profit is $6,
and then and then you lose like $200 in the span of like 5 minutes. You're like, all right, this has to stop. And I think similarly around that time, that's when you kind of got into match betting, or you were very new into it, and you started off into the AFL.
Yeah. I saw this guy on TikTok in like year 12 who was sharing stuff. And eventually like there was the topic of match betting in some of his pages. And then, just like looked into it a bit more and came across it. Yeah. So I was never like betting though. I made a chuck like $10 on like Anthony Davis, like double or something like that.
Yeah, as close to a guarantee as you can get. So.
Yeah, or like something on the Lakers. But I don't know. It was when I had back surgery, so I was like, I couldn't work for a while.
Need something to do, so...
I need something to do, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't play NBA 2K, like, every single day. Well, I can, but...
It's too shit of a game to play for that.
That's what I'm saying. Ever since, like, 2K17 or something, or even
too many broken controllers that you need to pay for to be able to...
Oh, the amount of fights that me and you had playing twos, it's like, Seb, what are you doing?
You're so
I swear I busted...
But like looking back, I actually thinking NBA 2K, it's kind of related to like gambling because you look at like pack openings. Did you play FIFA? You're a soccer guy, right?
Yeah. So it was part of the token white guy in the ethnic group. Don't cancel me, please. It was FIFA was the game for us. It was pack openings, and there's me being someone who didn't have access. I was not poverty stricken, don't worry. But my parents didn't want me spending $100 on 100k packs every month or something like that, or even for my birthday. It was a very rare occasion that I got to open packs, so I had to even then start working out a way to just consistently, for me, if anyone knows, I was trading fitness cards to just, that was my intro into just bulk doing things to end up increasing a bankroll to then be able to do stuff within a game. Obviously, it makes no difference, and it is very degenerate. But it does teach you little things that can then become apparent and relatable to this, and this becomes relatable to a career in finance if you want to do it, or even just being able to hold your emotion when shit's going sideways, stuff like that. So, yeah, there is a gambling element to a lot of things these days because dopamine drives a lot of business and a lot of marketing. So if you understand that, it's pretty easy to start noticing it. And then, I mean, you'll always fall victim for it because things taste good, winning things feels good, bright colors look good and stuff like that. But just knowing about it is half the battle. So
yeah, exactly. And kind of just going back to what you said about like when you joined a few sports tipping services, this is kind of like changing topics a little bit, but yeah, how they just don't provide those results or aren't credible. It kind of just comes back to us because, again, we genuinely like do this for fun. We don't have to like set up Playmakers Elite or help help as many people. We could just do this ourselves. There is no issue.
Make more money.
Way more money if we just did it ourselves. But we genuinely just want to help people out. It's you you're a rowing coach. You've been doing it for a few years. I did a bit of tutoring. I coach cricket. Like, we've come from sort of backgrounds of teaching people and helping people. And until we start like full-time, work next year and our careers go by, this is kind of like our little side thing that we want to do and help people out. And the biggest thing is just being transparent and just like saying, yeah, we did have a rough week, or we didn't turn a profit. And just showing every single bet as well, if it hit, if it got a bonus bet, if it lost. And it's probably the first thing people ask, oh, how much are you guys up? Or what I want to join. Like,
and I just genuinely my first text to you going, how much you guys actually made on the last month? And you're like, boom, to the cent. And then as soon as I joined, I think it was even just like a free, not free, but like you sent me the Excel spreadsheet or like a screenshot of it, and I went, yeah, okay, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all like publicly available on our website as well. Like, it's just, you go in, you click, live results, and it's just there.
Yeah.
And it's just being honest, being credible, like.
Also means I don't have to track it, so thank you.
Exactly.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
except for the Ladbroke stuff, they banned me, the bastards.
They're awful. They're terrible. Hey, Ladbrokes.
I think I missed mugs for 3-4 days, but yeah, you live with it.
You had that, like Sam, I'm pretty sure had 57 or something mugs, placed 2 or 3 promo bets and got banned.
No.
Yeah.
Really? And just because they both hit, like.
Well, it wasn't my account. It was a bookies can be a bit like, they can discriminate a bit. It was a female account. I may have taken a few like 2 positive EV bets. So I don't know. Yeah, they're a bit. They can discriminate, especially Tab as well. They love to lock accounts.
Yeah, they're coming out with all the email verification stuff, but that's another separate story. I think we'll leave that for another episode.
That's personal chat.
That's too much sauce that we're getting into.
It wasn't my account. It was my sister's account. Sorry.
Yeah.
It wasn't mine.
Yeah, this is paid membership chat. So if you want to get more into this chat, you're gonna have to pay, maybe even pay like 12 grand.
12 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, you better get a mentor with that.
Yeah, need to get some mentors and that.
Some Gary V prices right there.
Yeah.
For some marketing courses.
But yeah, no, I think we've more or less covered everything that we wanted to sort of talk about. And yeah, JT, I've really enjoyed having you on the pod, sharing your story. Making 10K since October, November is absolutely insane, just from sports betting. Like, no one even turns a profit off betting, let alone making
it hasn't been across like 12 accounts. It's been probably 5, and 3 of those are used the most. Like 2 have been on and off, so it's been 3 accounts managed, except for Ladbrokes, very well, and it just does what it does.
And that's pretty much just off sport as well. So
yeah,
once you like sort of, now that you've finished uni, and you've got a bit more time, you can now start to take things to that next level and make a bit more by the end of the year. And you've been able to go overseas as well.
Yeah.
And you, like you said before, like through match betting, which is good. Sam just came back from Europe for 5 weeks, and I'll be off. I think I'm going to New York at the end of the year, so that should be sick. I was actually looking at courtside tickets. Maybe meet Jalen Brunson and tell him,
we're going to need a good 2 weeks for that.
Yeah, we do. I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. You're making good coin, and you've got your head above your shoulders. You're doing really well. Keep up with the swimming. Maybe in the next couple of months, you might make a few big events as well.
We'll see.
So we'll get the Playmakers Elite boys as well to, even if you're at like $50 odds to with the butterfly or the freestyle, we'll still back you.
I am not vouching for that. If anyone ever watches this, I'm not telling people to bet on me. But if you do want a free tip for the Olympics, Cam McAvoy to win the 50 free. Nothing's guaranteed at the Olympics, but he's paying about a coin flip, and he's better than a coin flip. So
yeah,
no guarantees. This is not financial advice, but
I'm writing that down.
I might have to write that down. I appreciate you for coming on. Enjoyed your time, and let's hope for the next few months we can just keep doing what we're doing, and just keep growing and just keep making money.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Thanks guys.
Cheers.